Okay, continuing with the return of the greatest comic book haul ever. We're going to hit the Robert E. Howard stuff that was in there. This is what started it all. When Mr. Scotty Hines, got a hold of me on Facebook and was like, "I've got some Conan comics for you," and it ended up being 650 comics, give or take. This is what I was kind of expecting to get. Still more than I still thought. But basically, we're going to start out with Red Sonja and go down into the Conan stuff. This looks like early 80s stuff. And it's volume 2 and 3 of Red Sonja. Red Sonja seems like she started out, her first comic book appearance was in a Cole book in the mid-70s. And I know that Roy Thomas and was it Dick Giardardo, which really surprised me. Now they might have done the original. But anyway, somehow they went back and they redid the story and stuck it in Conan, okay? And then all of a sudden she popped up in like something like Marvel Premiere or something. Frank Thorne came on board and they gave her her own comic. Most of those were by Frank Thorne, but they only ran 15 issues. Then they came out with Volume 2. And I remember when Volume 2 came out because she wasn't in the chainmail anymore. And it came out in just 2 issues. And then I remember having these and always looking for number 3 because it does end saying there'll be number 3. And then something happened to where, like, I think I was getting ready to go into 5th grade. So the summer before I went to 5th grade, probably 4 or 5 months later, another number 1 comes out. And I think that one ran 13 issues maybe, 15 issues, don't take my word on it. So here's some Red Sonja stuff from the 80s. This is the volume 2 I was telling you about. I think Roy Thomas just scripted this. And somebody named Mary Wilshire might have been doing the pencils. She's definitely doing the covers and stuff. So, this is kind of like, they had some females on it, much like Gail Simone is doing now. And Red Sonja in her classic chainmail armor that, I'm sure everybody knows and sees, was actually responsible for some of the first cosplay that I, looking back, I was just a kid when that was going on, but was responsible for at least some of the very first cosplay that was being serious because Wendy Penny of ElfQuest fame, before she and her husband started ElfQuest and stuff, or at least got it published or anything, was going around these New York Comic Cons or something, and she was dressed up. She was a hot little redhead from the 70s, dressed up as Red Sonja. She even ended up on the Mike Douglas show, and there's a clip of that on YouTube. Okay. And then, like I said, I don't know what was going on, but all of a sudden, a couple months later, they restarted with another number 1. This is 30 years before what, they've been doing at DC 52 and Marvel now, and all this stuff. Came out with, started all over with a new number 1. And, yeah, I haven't really read these. I remember probably the first 5 or 6 issues of these. There's number 3. Number 4 coming up, man. That's this comic right here. I think I have another copy that I've carried around since it came out, probably around 83, 84, I don't know. But what is funny is that to me this is the Peter Frampton of comic books. It's kind of like everybody had this issue of Red Sonja. It was everywhere, number 4. Everybody had it, much like everybody had Peter Frampton Comes Alive. Everybody seemed to have this Red Sonja, and I still got mine, Then we get into some little Cthulhu, well, not Cthulhu, but some H.P. Lovecraft feeling stuff. And that's the thing about Robert E. Howard's Conan in those books. I never realized that. I always felt like it had like an H.P. Lovecraft influence as I got older, especially with the Conan movie, Conan the Barbarian, the first one with Arnold Schwarzenegger when it came out with, the Temple of Set and some of the monsters and that were there and stuff. And then just the last few months here, somewhere on the line, got to talk to I know too many Scott Connor there and stuff like that and everything, and it turns out that supposedly Robert E. Howard and H.P. Lovecraft were actually kind of buddies, and the Conan books were actually set secretly or in kind of in the H.P. Lovecraft world, and the Conan books take place in the Hyborian Age. And I have heard stories, and I was one of those people, man. The Hyborian, I never thought Conan was real, but the Hyborian Age is so so rich and it feels so real. You know, you kind of caught yourself, you know, wondering, when did this happen? When did this take place? When did we have the barbarians and stuff? And I've heard tell of people like actually have like done college papers and stuff exploring the Hyborian Age, treating it like it was real, whether they thought it was real or not. So, you know, Conan's just like this great thing. Stan Lee didn't understand Conan when Roy Thomas, you know, was the one that pushed for it to bring it to comics and stuff. And the Conan sales were not that good, and I'm trying to remember if Stan Lee told them either put a monster or a woman on it. I can't remember, around issue 5 or something. I think it was a giant spider or something, and then the book really took off and it became a cult classic and stuff. Now, this came out in the 80s. This is the later years of Conan, King Conan, and I've heard that they're doing the new story, the new movie, where it's going to be King Conan. Now, I can't really tell you a whole lot about King Conan because those were just short stories that Robert E. Howard did. They were not novelized or collected in anything that I've seen. And again, I'm not the expert, just a guy that collects comics. Conan was all over my house and stuff. So basically there was only like maybe 5 or 6 of these short stories. Oh my God, what was the kingdom he took over? Aquilonia? I don't know, but I read one of the short stories in some magazine when I was like about 9 or 10, 8, I don't know, early 80s or something, late 70s, early 80s. I mean, I was young. And it's around the same time I was kind of discovering Elric and Michael Moorcock. And the way I remember it, Conan pretty much just kicked some ass, walked right up to the king, knocked the shit out of him, cut his head off, and took the crown, and bam, he's king. So these are the later years. Now, the thing about King Conan, it turns into Conan the King. They changed the title for some reason later on, is that I think this is some of Mark Silvestre's first comic book work for Marvel. This is the first time he got it, you know, you started seeing some stuff with him in comics, before his X-Men stuff, before Cyberforce, before everything that ever made him famous. So yeah, if you want to check out some King Conan, I'm not going to talk too much about it because I have not read these since I was like 10 or 11, okay? But the way I remember it, he had a queen, he had a son, the son dies. I might be getting my Tarzan mixed up here, you know, with Boy and stuff. But it seems like somewhere on the line his son died. I'm not going to say that's a spoiler. Here's issue 15. You know, because it was so long ago that I read those. Number 16, the Monarch. And then we come into Conan the King. I think they changed with issue 19, which I don't have. Don't take my word on it. But I remember seeing this, you know, in the stores and stuff when it came out. And these are great Mike Kaluta covers, and I'm pretty sure Mike Silvestre is doing the interiors. Now, like I said, I don't remember the stories really standing out. This is around the time that I really got back into the book and stuff. But, you know, and it's probably because of the covers and stuff. So these are some great Mike Kaluta covers on these. I haven't gone through these. They're sticking together. Yeah, that's a Mike Kaluta cover. Mike Kaluta has such a great fantasy feel. Again, this is the Conan the King. This is the Peter Frampton, you know, comes alive version of the comic. I remember everybody and me having this purple bordered issue of Conan. It was everywhere. This is the one that was just everywhere. Everybody had it, at least around here. And then you didn't see any more after that. So I know for a fact I haven't read the rest of these. Okay, 24. Great Mike Kaluta covers. I hope they're showing up. This is not doing it justice on this camera. Man, these are nice. I've never seen these. Oh, that's a painted one. Yeah, that's a Mike Kaluta. Nice form there. Archers and people hunker down. Great stuff. Here's a annual, number 9. I think Armando Gil. No, Ernie Kahn. Ernie Kahn did it. Armando Gil, Ernie Kahn, and all these guys came on there with John Buscema, Barry Windsor-Smith. I mean, there are actually artists, pen and ink artists, who did the black and white stuff and everything. And they you know, there's a little stable of who the Conan artists were. Let me show you something. I'm glad I thought of this. The barbarian stuff was such a cult favorite and stuff like that you know Conan influenced Masters of the Universe. But what's his name? I can't believe I'm going blank. Alfredo Alcala actually came in and did some of the little books that came with the Masters of the Universe toys and stuff, you know. So it's great stuff, man. So, you know, you had some secret... I mean, it was no wonder I just loved the Masters Universe when they came out. Now we're back into the series, the early 80s and stuff. I'll probably go through these pretty quick. But, you know, Roy Thomas had left and gone to Marvel, and Roy Thomas really steered the ship, and John Buscema came on, and he was doing the art forever, and after Barry Windsor Smith left, you know, it started out in magazine form and then comics, and they had the Savage Sword of Conan going on, and that's what I read, and that's actually what this is. This is a collection of the Savage Swords of Conan, the magazines that came out, Savage Tales, and then it went into Conan the Barbarian. So I read the magazines because that was in my house, and every now and then you'd see the comic books come up. And I know the comic books are very much more tamed and not as evil and stuff because I got the Comics Code Authority approval and stuff. But looks like we got some Gil Kane on here. But Roy Thomas went to jump ship to DC. And that was like devastating to people that worked at Marvel, man. That was just unheard of because, you know, that would be like Stan Lee going to Marvel. And, you know, other people started writing Conan and stuff. Every now and then they would base them on the pulp novels that Robert E. Howard had. Oh, man, I'm getting some better covers in here. I'm getting before we can see them. Some good Kane covers. So, you know, when it comes to the comic and stuff, I never really... really did the comics. To me, it was always the magazines. Looks like a giant owl's on him. That's interesting. Walt Simonson. Well, I'm going to have to put that on the fan page on Facebook. Alright. But, you know, there's some Cthulhu influence there. Cthulhu. Some H.P. Lovecraft influence there. Now, John Buscema, great, I mean, probably best known for, like, you know, in the superhero work, probably his Avengers and his Thor. He worked on everything, you know, some Fantastic Four and stuff like that. But he never really liked the superheroes. And there's a big Frank Frazetta influence with some of his artwork on Conan, in my opinion, because Frank Frazetta really brought out Conan in the 50s and 60s or something with his pulp covers, his painted covers of them. I mean, people would get them just for those covers. And, you know, who is this guy? Everybody's Frank Frazetta. But John Buscema did not like doing superhero books. It was just a job. But he wanted to do like stuff like the Conan. He wanted to be Alex Raymond. He wanted to do like the stuff like Tarzan and all that stuff. You know, so he did comics. And when there's some sketches I have that he did in an alter ego after he passed away, showing some of his DC work. He had to look up what Superman looked like. Yet this is the man who, when they came out the Marvel Treasury edition of The Wizard of Oz, he didn't watch the movie. He drew it by memory, and you need to go back and look at it because it looks just like the movie. And this is in the 70s, and that Wizard of Oz is actually the first DC Marvel book that they came together to do. You know, a comic book adaptation and a Marvel Treasury edition of The Wizard of Oz. And John Buscema drew it by memory, the whole movie, yet he had to look up and see what Superman and all them really look like and stuff. So, anyway, let's get through these. You know, don't mean I like that one. You know, like when we bring in you Batwing. Speaking of that, a Wizard of Oz. Here's a mutated flying monkey. You know, a few more here. So let me just get through the covers here. Some are better than others. They seem to do a lot of reds in the background. Just a lot of just kicking ass and stuff. A lot of evil wizards and slaves and barbarians and cavemen and scantily clad women, and put them in their place. Oh, that's nice. That's very heavy metal-like. Giant, oh, I like that. Like some kind of giant dragonfly. That's my kind of barbarian. That's the fantasy stuff I like. You know, fighting, what is that? Some kind of dragon or a giant, you know, Assistant Editor's Month, so we'll see what was going on. And there we go, you know, just moving along with the Conan stuff. Nice little cannibalistic monster and more red covers and more women tied up. And, you know, ooh, well, it's not really Sonja, but looks like it's a werewolf lady. Getting evil. More red covers, more women, more blood, more fighting. Ooh, he's blind. He's about to get ambushed. Yeah. More snakes. Indiana Jones would never survive. Ooh, Ernie Kahn. Very nice. A little painted cover with a big red. Reds must have made it stand out. Oh, Armando Gil. I knew he was in. He'd pop up here. Nice, nice. purple covers, red covers, anything they could do to make it on the stands. Alrighty. And this was in here. This is the third edition, different format I have of this story. This is my favorite Conan story that's been adapted to comics. It is Red Nails by Roy Thomas, Barry Windsor Smith, adapting a Robert E. Howard story. This is so good. This is a wraparound cover. I think this was a story that popped up in Savage Tales, the magazine, and early 80s, probably because of the movie. I'd say this is what, 82, probably because of the movie coming out. They came out with this nice little, I guess we'd call it prestige format before it is, because it's a thick paper, bright colors, an original black and white story that is just so good. Oh my god, that is a Conan story with great art. Alright guys, thanks for hanging in there. Didn't mean to talk your head off. I'm doing good keeping these videos at least 15 minutes. So, I'll continue with, more of the return of the greatest comic book haul ever in the future here. Alright, later.